One.
Hey, Wealth Warriors. Are you ready to redefine wealth and master your money mindset? Welcome to Women of Wealth. I'm your Gen X host, Hollywoods Gray.
And I'm your millennial host, Ali Ramo.
Today, we will be talking with Miki Sunguza, founder of a la Carte Health, who offers a variety of valuable opportunities to explore the intersection of health, money mindset, and wealth creation, especially for female entrepreneurs.
Miki, can you introduce yourself and give our listeners a little background about you?
Yes, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be with you ladies today. And I love the topic of wealth and really how it intertwine into our lives and show up in different various ways. So a little bit about my background. I was born in Congo, Central Africa, to a Chinese mother and a half Greek, half Congolese father. We lived in a village away from civilization. A lot of things were happening. In our household, we spoke three different languages at all time, and then eventually, we moved. So we traveled a little bit around the world, finally landing into Canada, not by choice, but because we were refugees at that time. And so my perspective on wealth and on life have have broadened a lot since, because of all the different places I've experienced, all the things that I've seen, and especially how it affects people's lives. And it is so great to be with you to be able to share those things today.
I'm sure we are going to get into a lot of interesting topics about that unique story and how that played a role in how you got here today. Miki, you started off in nursing and osteopathy to founding a la carte your business now. How has your background and your perspective on I'm going to restart that. It's one of those days, apparently.
Apparently.
Okay. Uh, so I am sure your background is going to be really interesting to dive deeper into. Can you further explain to us how it's influenced your perspective on financial well-being and wealth creation?
Yes. So, when I was little, I was 8 year old or so, my dad was a successful businessman. He owned a chain of stores. He had about 15 at that time. That's actually when it was actually the only time that I actually seen my dad becoming sick. And we didn't know at that time, but he was really sick, struggling with sleep, losing weight, and it was very alarming to all of us. He went on traveling outside of the country, looking for the best expert to figure out his health. And then when he came back, we finally learned that he was, burned out, adrenaline burned out, and how much he needed to take care of himself. So this episode of our family life has really ingrained into my mind the importance of health, and that without health, it's actually very hard to build long-lasting wealth. Without health, there's no reason of having wealth, because health is actually everything. Health is like the foundation on which it's like the table on which all the other aspect of your life is set on. And that's why I went into studying nursing first, and then after that, becoming an osteopath, and now doing functional medicine. Health is one of those things that, when you're healthy, you don't think about it. But when you're not, you will spend every single dollar to actually gain it back.
Absolutely. Well, I had a mom that got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 3 years old. So that rings very true in my family. And it
Mhm.
certainly did stifle her as a female entrepreneur, because once she started getting sick and having different episodes where she might fall or whatnot, she wasn't able to really continue the business that she had started. So let's talk a little bit about how early menopause at age 37 led you to specialize in functional medicine. Can you discuss that, as well as any challenges financially that women face when they have those significant health transitions, and also how they can prepare for them?
Yes. As many of your listener knows, it's just not that we're talking more about menopause. And yes, 37 may seem young, and it may be young, but it's not that young actually. Some women will experience that even in their 30s. We see that. And so when this happened to me at that time, I was already a business owner. I was a mom with 4 kids. I was doing plenty, a lot of things. I was a Cub Scout mom, like all those activities that goes around taking care of a young family. And then of course my dad, who was starting to be old. He was becoming older, but at the same time needed me to be at his medical appointment. There was just so much demand on me that when I went through this crisis, which is a transition, I mean, all of us will go through that, but this transition is lived very differently. We are all unique. And this was a very unique experience for me. It took everything, all that all the knowledge that I had, all the capacity, all the help that I could have, all the support. I had to tap into every resources that I had in that time, including financial resources, to actually finally heal, regroup, and then later on continue on my business. I see this often for us women in business that we just think that our life is going to go on. We don't prepare for exactly that major transition, which is menopause. And what I like to tell to my clients when they're younger, right? I mostly work with women 40 and plus, but when they're younger and haven't gone yet through like perimenopause, we then talk about what are the strategies that you can do? What are the easy things that you can actually do right now to prepare your body, because it is your body, to go through this transition in a smooth way. And often it's always about come back to where are you right now? What are your blood test results saying about you? What do you need to lose weight? Are you sleeping well? Are you taking care of you? So taking care of ourselves and making sure that our ducks are aligned before menopause is actually the best strategy. Now, you may be already into menopause. You can still do things and you must do things, especially if you're in business, because as you know it already, like business and your entrepreneur role, it's a sport. It's so like, yeah, it's like Olympic Games here. It's not for the faint of heart. And it does ask a lot of energy, stamina, like concentration, all of those things. So it's very demanding.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because like I had a baby later in life. So I was 43 when I had him, and then I feel like I had a baby and then all those hormones got out of my body, and then I went right into menopause right after that. And I think I was already in perimenopause, and that was why it was so hard for me to get pregnant to begin with.
Yes.
My husband and I were both older business owners, all that kind of thing whenever we first started, and we decided not to do any type of in vitro or anything like that because we figured there's plenty of kids in the world that need love, so if we don't have one biologically, then that's fine. So I really think that it is important because I didn't really I went the naturopathic way as well. I took the herbs. I went to a chiropractor. I went to the needles, acupuncture. I went to
Acupuncture.
acupuncture. I did all these different things that were natural to get pregnant. So like I totally get that had I had a better journey maybe during my 20s or even my early 30s or maybe less birth control or something like that, I might have had a much easier way of getting pregnant, as well as once I stopped, started going into perimenopause after I had Jackson. So I think it's very important for women to understand that.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Mickey, you also made a comment about your dad having a lot of stress on his body, and we really don't think, I mean, when we think of, yeah, stress, we don't really think of how our everyday lives or even our career, especially women being business owners and having a family, we don't really talk about how stress can harm your body. And I mean, I recently went through some skin issues and was kept being told the same thing by dermatologists. And eventually went the naturopathic route as well. And then ta-da, my my symptoms are all disappearing now. Um, and then going back to those dermatologists, and they just look at me like I'm like they just don't understand how it got to that point, but it really was all the testing that needs to be done and looking at like a very holistic perspective
Yeah.
of it's not that one symptom that's
Mm.
causing it. There's other things, and usually stress is one of those things that, if it's not the root cause, it's definitely not helping anything. So how do you help female entrepreneurs, balance health, stress, and business demands, and then sometimes family demands and other responsibilities on top of it?
I love your question, and I want to congratulate you for going a different route. And I think this is so important for us to understand that there's different options there. Like we don't always have to do the allopathic way. We have options. Yes. So I love this question. This question about how I help those ladies. I when they come to me, most of the time, Ali and Holly, it's not because they're healthy. They don't come to me because like, hey, I'm feeling so good. Most of the time, they come to me because they know that they've crossed some physical boundaries that their limits are right there. They're not functioning well. They may not sleeping well anymore. Um, they may have gained weight, but their body is actually showing signs, and those things are really bothering them. And so the first thing that I do is we test them. I believe in having data, really data about your body. We are in 2000, this is 2025. There's so much out there that we have advanced in terms of technology that we can use with our health. And so having those tests being done gives us a baseline of where are you? Are you lacking, minerals, vitamins? What is it? What's happening inside of your body? Each one of us is unique. And so your story is also unique. From then, we build, and it is again a one-on-one thing, we build your strategy of what are the first things that we need to fine tune. What is it that you need? Is it more nutrition? Do you need supplement in some way? For how long the supplement? Are we doing here 5 weeks? Are we doing 3 months? What is it that we need to correct? And then, of course, the mindset come into play. We know that, as you were saying, Ali, stress, right? Like us women, apparently, we love to run, like we love to go above the limits and think that everything is going to go well. And so, most of the time, all of our meetings together is going to be around how are you setting boundaries? How are you protecting rest, specifically sleeping? How are you eating? Are you having lunch? Are you sitting down and actually having lunch? Or are you driving through the drive through and getting your sandwich and eating while in front of your computer or while you're driving? All those things play a lot into our health and we don't realize it. And so I teach them, I coach them, I listen a lot because at that time there's also a lot of the trauma that comes out. So anything that hasn't been resolved previously will come out during this transition. And it's actually a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. That's what I tell my ladies. It's a beautiful thing because you don't want to go on into your 50s and 60s and 70s carrying your past trauma. Like if you still have them, this is a great time to actually work at them as well.
So it looks like you've helped a lot of women overcome different health challenges like weight gain and brain fog. How do you see these two improvements impacting people's or women's financial success and business growth?
This is such a pertinent question. And all of you that are listening, this is so, so good. Anytime that you improve your health, you will see the baseline of your business will just increase. Here's why. I remember this client, she had incredible brain fog with insomnia, nuts, and then of course can't concentrate. Now imagine her going to work and trying to get things done. It was taking her way longer than she wanted to, than she was used to. Then, by going through my program, she actually, had clarity now, didn't have to deal with the brain fog anymore. So the stamina came back, energy was back, focus, and also loving her business one more time, falling in love with her business and her purpose. Now, a couple of months later, She could already see, she could see clearly in her numbers that she had doubled her revenue. And that is the most incredible thing for me to witness, is this transformation. The correlation between how healthy you are and how thriving your business is going to be, it's actually very related. It is there.
Yeah, I could. One of the things I tell the dermatologist and my physician was I didn't realize how brain fogged I was until I started to heal. And it was like night and day. One day I woke up and jumped out of bed rather than like begging another 20 minutes
Mhm.
in bed. And then when I was react or interacting with my clients, I could just tell I felt more present and I could build strategies and not have to think as hard of what am I going to do next? And so that was one symptom, and then physical rashes leaving was another symptom. But I explain it as if I was sleepwalking sometimes. Like that's how big the difference was. And so if someone's doing that and they're trying to build a business, I'm sure that they'll get to see exponential growth from going from brain fog and,
Yeah.
discomfort too. I remember I'm wearing a turtleneck right now, but I remember in a client meeting, I had rashes and I had to wear a turtleneck that day, and it was hot because I just didn't want to look like a crazy person, and I was itching, and I'm just dying sitting in my appointment, like so I'm not able to be present with my client, and then on top of all of the mental barriers. So I can't stress how much that becoming healthier, and I mean Holly can vouch. I'm a very healthy person. I eat right, I exercise
Mhm.
daily,
Mhm.
but I had mineral imbalances, I had a bacteria. It
Yes.
was just like all these things that I just didn't know about until I was tested, so I can't say it enough how important it is to get tested and then have someone walk you through getting fixed. And yeah, I mean, Holly can also vouch that my business has grown a lot in the last 6 to 8 months. So,
Thank
um,
you. Thank you for sharing your story, Ali. I love what you're saying because, like you said, right? You weren't being brain fog, not feeling well inside of your body. It's very hard to be present for your clients. It's so hard. And I love what you said, like you felt like you were sleepwalking through life. Wow.
So I know a lot of times the functional medicine isn't necessarily covered through life insurance, I mean through health insurance and all that. So how do you structure your business so that you can help people that usually rely on those insurances? Because like we have products, we have what's called living benefits life insurance. So if somebody is really going through something and they need to take some cash out because they're going through something, they can take money out, but it's something that they have to start, early enough to where they can have that cash built up. So, are there some strategies that you help people figure out on how to afford this type of medicine since it's usually not covered with health insurance?
That is a great point that you're bringing up. Unfortunately, it's not covered by health insurance. And most of the testing that we do are actually expensive for, the common American. It is expensive. What I tell people is there's different way of going around with that. We can do payment plan, of course. We can do, we can establish what is the minimal that you can do right now. The minimal testing that I can do for you, it's usually a blood test. I start there. And if this is what you can afford, because I don't want to stress people also with, the money that comes. So we will do then the blood test, and they will implement whatever I taught them. I can also, sometimes I offer people the opportunity of just setting money aside with me, making like monthly payments until we reach a certain level to do a certain type of testing that they need.
Yeah.
And this usually help people. We work very hard in our company to find different ways, to really find different ways. I know that there's a credit card. I can't recall the name. It's like I Care, something like that, where they don't charge interest for the first 10 months or so. And most of the people are, it's easy actually to qualify for that credit card because it's for healthcare
That's
purposes.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that you said early on was, that we don't talk about these changes in life for women that happen, right?
Yes.
We don't talk about that. Sometimes even your chosen hospital or the midwife or whatever, whenever you're having a baby, aren't covered. I mean, Ali and I interviewed somebody about health insurance not too long ago, and through their health plan, pregnancy wasn't covered.
Hmm.
And so um, thinking about family planning, and especially for women, it's not just the part about having a baby. It's also like when you do get in your 40s or 50s. I mean, I have friends that are in their 50s that haven't really even started experiencing a lot of menopause symptoms, but some of us happen sooner than later. So I think that planning is a very great way of making sure that you have those resources available and that you're not limited to your health insurance, because that definitely puts people into making choices that maybe they would make different choices if they had the resources available. So I love that idea about finding the right credit card. You can, if you have a high deductible health insurance plan, you could set up a HSA. I know
Yes.
I've used my HSA to pay for some functional medicine before. Um, there's other types of plans that we can talk about at a later time to even educate our listeners more on. But the next question that I really wanted to talk to you about is holistic health and financial well being, as we've been talking, are very interconnected. Can you talk a little bit more about how making better financial decisions, because you have clearer, thoughts with, being healthier, can really help people accumulate that wealth?
That is so true. It is so true. So I believe that investing in your health is the most strategic investment for your business, right? I believe that this is the main thing. And also that when you understand that the healthier that you are becoming, then yes, you are going to make smarter decision, and you also going to attract, like, people don't realize it, and Ali, you probably experienced that the minute that you were actually healthy and good in your skin, suddenly the right clients are coming to you because of the energy that you are just giving to the world. And so by being and becoming more healthy, even that, when we talk about mental health, like your mental health has to be on top so that you can actually radiate this kind of energy, and then it will kind of like diverse, like transpose itself into this physical form of wealth. It is, for me, it's actually, I think, like it's like the physical manifestation of 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 wealth itself. It comes from us inside. What we are inside will manifest itself in the world.
I would also add to that, I mean, just from my experience of when I started to feel good, it was uh, when when decisions came, whether it was deciding my food when I didn't feel like making food, or making other decisions that, there's an easy path and there's a hard path.
Mhm.
When you feel good, you are able to take that hard path and see, you're investing the hard path into yourself and your future self. But when you genuinely don't feel good, sometimes you're like, I'll take the easy route of
Yeah,
things. And so I think that's compound interest
it
in
is.
both wealth and health, once you start feeling that. And I mean, now there's like this special salad that I make and I crave it. If I've had a weekend, like I just came back from a wedding, and that whole weekend I've been craving coming home and to have my salad because I know it's gonna like just fuel my body. And it's a lot of prep, but it's something that I enjoy doing now, and my body knows that it likes it. And so it's just little things like that you start to make better and better decisions, and that has a compound effect on your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I noticed that on your website, you have a lot of different types of supplements that you offer. And I think that is something that a lot of people, especially in the US, don't understand as much, because we have so much medication. I mean, you watch
Yes.
TV, if you watch TV for an hour, I bet you at a minimum you see 10 advertisements about medication, some sort of medication. And I don't know about you, but I just can't understand how we have all of this advertising. And when it starts saying like side effects could be leaky gut and this and that, I'm like, why would anyone ever take this? Like, I
Uh,
can't imagine feeling this bad that I'd want to have the consequences of that. So what are some things like Allie was talking about? What are some recommendations you can give people, some of our listeners, just about how to better take care of themselves? Like, how much exercise do you recommend? How much, fruits and vegetables, and whether people are vegan or vegetarian or eat meat, whatever. what
mhm.
what are your recommendations? Because I know there's so many studies out there, and there's so much I don't know, kind of noise. I
Noise.
really like to talk. I like to find out, like, what do people do. I mean, I've met you in person, so you look very healthy to me. So I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but your skin looks great, and I know some of that is probably genetics. However, what are some recommendations you can give to people that are looking to feel healthier, just like Allie was talking about, just with diet and exercise?
That is such a great question. Thank you. So, diet and exercise, those are the two things that we have control over it, right? Like each one of us have control over it. No one else can do it for you. It has to be you. It's a you decision. So, let's just put it out there. It is you taking control back of your health. In terms of diet, I like you, Holly. I don't get into like vegan, carnivore, paleo, all of the vegetarian, all of those things. Mind you, I have done all of them. I have done all of them in quest of health. I did. And this is what I've discovered. It's mostly about biochemistry, right? Like, just like Ali, you were saying, you were craving that salad because you knew your body needed it. And so, what we do with food is like, we want to eat what our body needs right now. So, the way I coach my ladies, like, let's say she's an entrepreneur and she's going into a massive launch that requires more energy, more stamina, more presence, and that it is there's stress involved. And so for her, specifically for her, I'm gonna tell her you're gonna start your day like within 30 minutes of being up, you will have your first smoothie or you will have your first protein shake. Why? Because we want to tell your body that you're still into an abundance of food, although you're going into stress. So, stress, what it does is that it's as if the tiger is running after us and then we're going to survival mode. And so when you're stressed, you eat less, you sleep less, you don't digest as well, and then you start having all kind of problems. And so if she is doing this launch, I would tell her first thing within 30 minutes you are having a bit of protein, a little bit of protein with either your coffee or whatever you're having that morning. Then after that, we make sure that you are actually sitting down to eat at least 2 meals so that your body knows that it's safe and secure. And then in terms of exercising, this also will vary between which phases of stress you are into so that we don't add more stress. So exercise is amazing. It's actually the one thing that keeps us younger in ourselves. The more muscle we have, the younger we look, the younger we feel. Like think about it. Muscle are the things that makes you move, run, pick up things from the floor. So we need to maintain that. So for ladies 40 and plus and even younger, we're more into the game of being stronger than being thin. So being thin, it's like passe. We don't do those things anymore. We work out to become stronger. So lifting weight, lifting heavy weight. If you're not used to weightlifting, go see a trainer so that you're probably trained and that it's safe. But lifting weight, because you still want to build strong bones and strong muscle, needs to be there about 3 times a week. Then, of course, cardiovascular exercises, all those HIIT, interval, anything that will make your heart rate go faster. You can do that also 3 times a week or 2 times a week. And the other thing that I added recently is walking. We don't think about walking as much, but walking is actually one of the incredible, I'm hesitant of calling it exercising because Humans were just made to walk. Like the minute we stop walking, we are in deep, deep trouble. And so I love all of our phones that we can track how many steps we're doing. And I usually recommend people to get at least 7,000 steps per day. So this is when you start thinking like, okay, do I need the little, the mat, the walking mat underneath my desk? Do I have a standing desk? Which I usually tell people, if you're working from home, even in the office, go for the standing desk so that at least you have movement during your day, increase movement at all time, less sitting. We actually say now that sitting is the new smoking. So we do less sitting now compared to before. And yes, so I want people to remember like we need protein. However, you're getting your source of protein, just get more protein. You need fibers, about 30 grams of fiber per day. The average American gets 15 grams of fiber, which is not enough. So, protein, fiber, a lot of hydration, drink a lot. I rarely talk about carbs because we eat too much carbs in this society. That's why. I mean, like, try to go away from carbs and you'll find it difficult. So, protein, fiber, a lot of hydration, and then think about supplementing. If, like you, Ali, you were saying, you ate well, you exercise, and all, but you're still having a problem, that's when you're going to go and you're going to start looking for your answer. That's when you turn into testing because you may be lacking minerals. It's very simple, but it plays a big deal in our system. Minerals and vitamins. So you all that needs to be in check as well.
Yeah, and then one thing that has come about recently, I've been following this gal. Her name's Casey Means. She talks about
Yes.
good energy. I'm really excited to see, what happens in the future with some of the studies and whatnot that she's a part of. She's a doctor. It's very interesting. Following her is very interesting. I think it is a little political, so we won't really talk too much about it. But one thing that I did hear her say is your doctor can prescribe exercise, eating healthy, these different types of programs that aren't medication through your health insurance. Your health insurance can pay for some of those things. So I think one of the biggest things for people is to get educated about what their health insurance does provide. I find being in this industry that the reason how come most people, I mean, the biggest problem is that most people aren't educated on what they have. We see it
Hmm.
every single day. We sit down with somebody, we review their account. We're very much into putting people into products that will protect them. And they almost always say, "Oh, I thought I was in that kind of an account already." And I would say probably 50% of the time, they're not in that kind of account already. And they just didn't understand what they were purchasing or what they were buying every single month. So I think it's really, we have been taught from generations to you go to work for somebody, you sign up for whatever the packages that they give you, and we don't ask a lot of questions. So I think this generation, like Allie's generation and younger, I hope that they ask more questions about what they
Yes.
have and what does it cover, because there are ways of having different programs that can protect you in different ways. And if you have something major that happens, then you can also access that as well. So next, let's go into, what do you think? Should we go into the lightning round, or should we talk about what workshops or offer you might have for our listeners? Let's do the lightning round first, and then we'll talk about that at the end.
All right. So, cash or credit?
I am a cash person. I love cash.
Real estate or stocks?
Real estate.
If you won $1 million today, what would be the first thing you'd do with the money?
I'll invest.
Ooh, what are we investing in?
I will probably now invest into crypto.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yes.
What is a fun impulse buy you've had recently?
A grounding mat.
Ooh. I gotta get one of those. What's a money saving tip that you swear by?
I do not buy things the regular price. Never.
My
Never.
husband says that too.
Never. It's not my Chinese side and all of that. We never buy the full price. Never. Never.
What's your biggest financial fear?
My biggest financial fear, it. I don't want to get political. Is if the system fails us right now.
Mhm.
Fair. What's your biggest financial goal for the next year?
My biggest financial goal is to to reach to go above the 500,000 mark for my business.
Ooh,
Nice. That's awesome.
yay. Well, thank you for sharing all of your insight. I've really enjoyed talking with you. I know Holly and I really like the holistic functional medicine side of things. So thank you so much for being with us and chatting with us. Can you share any events or workshops or any offers that you're providing people?
Yes, sure. We just wrapped up an event, and so if people want to know more, they can visit my website www.alacarte.health. And what I have there right now is they can book an appointment with me for a 20-minute free consultation. I believe, like Holly was saying, people need to ask questions, and I want to spend this time answering their questions.
That's really good.
I wanted to actually ask you, how did you get the name a la carte?
It was, we were in a kitchen, my husband and I was looking for a name. And then he said, but you left the medical world, because I did leave the medical world, because you wanted to do specific things for people, being tailored to each one of them. A little bit like you go to a restaurant and you're asking, this type of food for you and whatever you like. So that's how we come up with a la carte. Like
That's
it was a la
awesome.
carte health,
I love
because
that.
yes, because you're choosing, right? Like you're really choosing for what your body needs, and it will be very different and very unique to each one of us.
I like
And
that.
I understand that you can work with, even though you live in North Carolina, you can work with anybody across the country,
Yes.
or even across, other countries as well. If there's anyone listening not from the United States, so they can book that call with you. You get on a call with them, then you would send in the request for whatever test or whatever they need to do, and then you can get on a Zoom with them and instruct them on what's next. Is that how it works?
It is how it works. We are a virtual clinic. And
Okay.
so I will order the test for the people inside the United States, because that's where I know the labs. For international one, I will give them the list of markers that I'm looking for. They will then go to their doctors and have that being done. Then I interpret the result. The thing with functional medicine, people need to remember, is that when you receive your results, we are looking at optimal level, right? Because on the conventional side, what I used to do when I was in the conventional medicine is that we look for the average, but it's the average, it's a bell curve of the entire population. And because our American society isn't how it used to be in the 50s, that bell curve has moved. And so you don't want to be normal. Like you don't want to be in that curve.
Well, and the other thing too that I found just for myself is that what works for me, my height, my weight, my age, is different now than it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago with any, like I've been on thyroid medication. I do natural thyroid. Um, and I've just noticed that over the years, I need a little bit more to regulate me than I did when I was younger and my metabolism was faster and all those
Mhm.
kind of things were a factor. So, I think it's really important, like I said earlier, to ask questions and to, not just take the first answer you hear, like Allie did with her situation. You want to make sure that you get down to the bottom of it. And that may include a traditional doctor, that may include a functional doctor. I know for me, I have several different functional doctors. I have a concierge doctor too. However, I have a very unique situation with my insurance and how that all works for me. So, really, thank you so much for this conversation. I mean, it's something that I've been passionate about for a while, and I've always believed that, the more we understand our bodies, the more that we can be successful because we don't have days where we're down because we don't feel good or whatnot. So, I really appreciate this conversation. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Is there any last words you want to leave our audience?
I want them to know that they are empowered to make the decision for themselves, right? Like each one of us can do this. Like it is your health. You have to have the final word on it. Like, you have to take charge of yourself.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Mickey.
You're welcome.